When the world gets heavy and the road feels long, someone reaches out and helps you carry on. A simple act of kindness can heal a hurting soul. People helping people is what makes us whole. Every hand we hold, every heart we heal, shows us love is stronger than anything we feel. People helping people, lighting up the night. People helping people, making wrong things right. When we stand together, we can face it all. People helping people, we will never fall. Through the highs and lows, through the pain and fear, people helping people, always standing near. A stranger gives a smile when somebody's down, lifts them from the darkness, turns their life around. Every little moment, every caring deed, people helping people is the world we need. One voice can start change, one heart can light the flame. And when we come together, nothing stays the same. People helping people, shining like the sun. People helping people, stronger all as one. No matter where we come from, love can lead the way. People helping people every single day. People helping people, hand in hand we rise, changing lives forever. Opening our eyes. People helping people, that's how hope survives.
I can't hear Paulette.
I'm chatting away.
Welcome
Do not worry. It happens all the time. It's like a team meeting. Little team meeting by myself, you know. I said, what a wonderful song.
It was. You don't need my help. It was really, really good. I wouldn't touch it. And that's, you know, I would tell you the truth. If I could do something better, I'd be like, let me work on that for you. But that was really, really well done, and it was really tied into what ConnectImpact Hub is about.
Thank you so much, Bill.
You're
I'm
welcome.
trying to address this background, but
The thing over my head.
I'm trying over here. See, I was trying. Oh, here we go. I think I might figure it out. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Is that better? Our names are not showing up, but I'll figure it out. Hello, friends. Welcome to ConnectImpact Hub. My name is Martha. I am your host. I'm also the founder of ConnectImpact Hub, where we're on a mission to end homelessness. I have a beautiful guest here with us and also co-host Paulette. I'm going to pass the mic over for Paulette to introduce herself, and then we'll pass it over to Bill for his introduction.
Hello. I think many people might know me here. My name is Paulette Hallam. I am a one-woman machine trying to do good in the world, trying to reverse the negativity, the poison, the hurt, the pain that is in everybody's lives at the moment. So I'm on a mission. It's a big mission and it's not easy. With ConnectImpact Hub's help, we are making a difference with my books and making a difference. every show we do, every mind we change, every person we try to embrace in some small way will make a difference. And that is our job. We are just literally passing on the baton of kindness and saying, over to you. Now you go do something, please. We're asking you with please, because until that happens, we can't change the world. But Will, on the other hand, might be able to. Bill, sorry, apologise. Bill is William, but also Bill. So just so you know. Over to you, Bill.
My name is William Rochelle, but you can call me Bill. I didn't come with a really great intro. I am a human that is just living life. I have been through several different iterations of my life, which led me to understand life at all levels. So I've been a CEO. I have been affected by the 2008, 2010 market crash, lost everything, understood that there was no difference between me and the person that was on the street asking for money for food. I built everything back up, lost it in 2020, 2021 to be exact. I made it through 2020, but barely, and I own my own business. And today I am on the rise again, but on the rise again after understanding that we are all the same. And I think what makes me unique is that I've seen instances where I've had an overflow of money, more money than I knew what to do with. And then I've seen an instance where, to no fault of my own, everything shifts. And I'm looking to figure out how to save my life, how to save my home. And that instance makes me reevaluate my priorities. It makes me understand people based on who they are, not their titles. And I also had to relook at my value. I'm not sure about you're in the UK, right, Paulette? I'm not sure about the UK, but in America, the first thing you ask someone is, "Hi, my name is Bill." And you say, "You're Paulette." I say, "What do you do?" So everything's tied back to, what do you do as a profession? What do you do as a title? And, the worst thing you can say is, "I'm unemployed." So we need to get out of having our value attached to a title and have our value attached to our integrity. And it is people or organizations like ConnectImpact Hub that do more than what you understand. ConnectImpact Hub has always, Martha has been a part of my life for over a year, and she's been a major cheerleader for over a year. But she really came into my life on a regular in April, into March, early April. And I was at I was at such a crossroads that I wrote like a 10-day journal of where I was at. Go ahead.
Bill, before we jump right in, I want to just first say thank you, and Paulette, for being here on this Wednesday. I met Bill. I really got to know Bill a couple months ago, and Bill is really what the song was about with Paulette, people helping people. And they do that daily. I mean, daily. So there's more that I want to say, and I know you're just jumping right in to your share, but I do want to acknowledge Christy, who's here with us, who's one of our dearest friends, and she was part of our podcast 2 weeks ago. Christy, thank you so much for being here with us and loving people, helping people. Thank you so much. Okay, Bill, I'll pass it back over to you. And You know, we're talking from our hearts. We show up vulnerable, and something that Bill has taught me, this is how I connected with Bill through his live events, was speaking about vulnerability and our mental health space. So Bill, I've always told you this, that I've always loved and looked up to you because of that, because you have allowed people, and I'm one of those people, to express ourselves on a platform that's internationally recognized. And vulnerability, sometimes we think it's not okay to share. But I'll pass it over to you.
Give me 2 seconds because I'm going to put you guys onto my YouTube channel, which will get like 1,000 more views, and I forgot to do that. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So I was going to say, we've known each other for a year, and there's several things that Martha has pushed me towards, Paulette. One day she told me, I'm really proud of you because you're so brave. And the next day I went and released a bunch of stuff that I had never told anybody in my life in a public forum. Like, there are people that know things about you, but you've never admitted it publicly. And the reason why I did that is because someone said I'm brave, but I'm hiding a portion of myself. So how brave is that really? And then she always says, you're brave, but I never let anybody know how bad my life was. That I was losing my house, I was losing my car, and I could not pay for my anything, electricity, anything. And she came in, and what she did, and I'm going to tell people, you know, the first thing you need to do is to admit where you are. And the second thing that you need to do, which is strength, is tell people you need help. And I did need help. And I was just about to minimize it. Like, oh, I didn't really need help. I just needed, you know, someone to talk. But I needed help because I was so overwhelmed and I was so close to it that when I was speaking to people, my watch would go off because it would say your heart rate has exceeded 100 BPMs. And what I've witnessed this a million freaking times. So I've been that guy that when I go to my personal bank, that someone will see me in line and say, oh, Bill, you don't have to stand in line, come over here. And then I've been that guy at the same bank when I was overdrawn and they don't want to look you in the eye. It's a huge shift in how you feel about yourself. When you call up to, I've been that guy when you walk into a Bloomingdale's. I don't know if you guys have that out there. That when you walk in, people walk up to you, and they're like, "Mr. Rochelle, what are you looking for?" And they just follow you around the store, and you guys are chit chatting. And then I've been that guy that walked in, and it seems like they're following me, not to help me with things, but because I've never been one that dresses in opulence, you know? I've always been the guy wearing a hoodie and ripped jeans wherever I go. But there's a different way that you're treated when you're buying things versus when you're looking. And if you ask why I'm at Bloomingdale's, I was really at Bloomingdale's because I was going to Lens Crafters, right, to get my glasses. And you have to park outside and walk through. And you're just looking at things, you know, and there's a different feeling. But back to Martha. What Martha did for me was she took a weight off of my shoulders that was burdening me so hard and allowed me to breathe. So they were taking my house. They had lied to me. They resources that are supposed to help you were being withheld. And when I would talk to people, I would get angry. And you guys see me as this, I think my reputation is I'm authentic. So I'm calm, but I'm funny, and I'll call you out if you're messing with me, right? I'm not going to hold back on how I feel. But in this situation, what Martha had to do was to literally say, Bill, you've already authorized me to talk about this. Hang up the phone. I'll call you back. Because she saw how people were talking to someone that needed help. And she also saw how I was reacting to it. And the reaction is bad, because when you're looking for help and you really need it, and it's not the person on the other end's fault, but they're asking you questions that you've answered a million times. And in your mind, you think it's stupid. Well, why aren't you working? Oh, because I really want to call and ask you for food. That's why I'm not working. I've made a choice to, really call social services and beg for food and beg for help with my house. And I'm not submitting resumes. I don't have a great LinkedIn profile. I haven't redone my resume 100 times. It's infuriating. And then what you hear about, which is a little bit rewarding, is that all of the big applicant tracking systems have throttled people over 50. So I have that going for me, along with being overqualified for most jobs, along with people saying, well, dumb down your resume. I have 32,000 followers on LinkedIn. If you Google my name, it pops up first. There's no way to dumb down my experience, because we live in a digital world. And then if I dumb down my experience and put it in the applicant tracking system, and it says in one version of me that I'm a supervisor, in another version of me that I am a COO, which one is true? So that dumb down yourself doesn't really work anymore. And we're all trying to figure out this new world using old rules.
Yeah.
I need to ask a favor. Can I step away for a second? Because I do have
Yes.
kidney issues. So I'll
Yes.
be right back.
Go ahead. Yes. I want to also welcome some of our friends that are here in the audience. Christy said, hi, Paulette. And she said
hi, gorgeous.
She said she loves the show, and she's also saying hi, Marcia. Marcia's my nickname for friends that don't know. Jackie's here with us. Hello, sister. So great to see you. And I'm hearing Bill talk to Paulette, I was thinking about when I come across folks who are asking for help, and then they have their strong face up, and their walls are up. And sometimes the person on the other end, say it's me, we want to make phone calls.
You're guarding it. It.
And
from a therapist perspective, or from a counseling perspective, we call it peeling back the onion, right? So the onion doesn't just get tight. When you ask a question, it gets tighter. The next question, it gets tighter. And so what happens is, every time you ask a question, you're actually creating a negativity for that person to feel. So they feel like they're ashamed of it. They don't want to talk about it. It's personal. It's all those things. So the onion gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And then when you do try to peel back the onion, it's 1,000,000 times harder. So I tend to say, you know what? everything that's happened to you is your business, right? So rather than allow that onion to get tighter, start from a perspective of this is your business. This is your onion, right? And you use the onion as an example. And the last thing I want to happen is for your onion to get closer and closer and closer until you can't even tell me your problem. So what we need to do is unfurl that onion so that you feel happy enough to go, right, there's one layer. That's one part of me. There's another layer. That's another part. And then gradually that confidence comes from talking to you, listening to you, hearing your responses, allows that person to peel back another layer and say, like Bill said, I'm going to tell you a bit more about me. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me. Actually, I'm going to download the bloody lot. I didn't know I was going to, but you managed to open my onion so that I was in a position, instead of being this tight knit onion that hadn't got any layers unfurled, to allowing that whole flower of an onion to bloom, allow everything out. And you know what? It's the most cathartic thing in the world. If somebody says to you, just talking to you has made a difference, and you look at them and go, how? I'm like sitting on a bus, sitting on a train. It doesn't matter where I am, on a plane. Somebody's telling me their life problems and I'm helping sort it out. Charles is like, what are you, like a magnet, you know? Yeah, I've got help written across my forehead, and I will underneath. And I can't say no, you know? Whereas my husband, somebody will start chatting to him, he'll go, sorry, I'm going to have a little nap. I'm like, you're so rude. And it's like, I don't want to hear somebody else's issues. I want to go to sleep. I'm like, okay, what's the problem? So now I'm leaning over my husband to hear the person's problems. So my husband can't sleep because I'm hanging over him in a seatbelt that's now making me uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable. So you know what my husband does? He gets up, we swap places. He has the window seat. He goes to sleep on the window. I spend the rest of the flight trying to sort this person's issues out. I can't help myself but peel back the onion. It's innate in me, and it's been there since I was that onion. When you've been that onion and you've been thrown out as trash, and you've got a black sack, and you are worthless, and you're told you're worthless, and you are ugly, and the ugliest thing ever, the worst ugliest thing that could ever walk the planet, and you've been eating off the floor with the dog. When you've had that kind of shit happening to you, sorry for swearing, you can't help but be that onion. And when somebody says, can I help you? You go, oh yeah, because you really want to help me, don't you? Because everybody else wanted to help me, right? Because nobody else did. They all said they would, and they all ran, right? So you know, I mean, Jackie works with these kids in juvie and in prison, and she'll know this onion really well, right? Because they'll be like throwing it out left, right, and center, because you've got so much hurt and anger and afraid and fear and nerves and anxiety, that onion is so tight that you just go, but let me just peel back one layer, and it's like you've opened up a floodgate, you know. And you have to do it in a way that the person feels comfortable. And Martha, you did that with Bill, because otherwise Bill wouldn't have said, here's my story, here's my issue, I really do need help. And that comes from heart. That can only come from heart. There can be 1 million people in this world saying that they do this job, and they will not be able to do the job as well as people who've been through it. Because when you've been through it, you walk the same shoes as they do. You walk the same pain as they do. You walk the same every emotion as they do. And that is why it's so important that when we have people like Bill on the show, that Bill says what he just said. I opened my heart and told her everything. The everything I hadn't told anyone. That is the biggest move that you made to get to where you are now. And without even knowing it, the brave word, you know, that peeling back the onion, brave, that hurts. That person in the mirror says, don't do it. The person in the mirror says, you let her in, who knows what's going to happen, right? Am I right? And yet,
You are.
once you let her in, only good came. And that's, Martha, where ConnectImpact Hub is about heart-to-heart connection. People helping people. It isn't about grades and accolades and waving banners and I've done this and I did that. It's just the grassroots helping. Over to you, my love.
I like this comment. Do not let fear stop your heart. That is so beautiful, Christy. And it's so true, and it goes for everybody. I mean, even I'm running an organization, and sometimes fear can creep up. You know, we don't want to share this, but I'm learning with leadership that you have to be transparent with your team. And I know Bill knows about this, the authenticity, the leading with, you know, with treating your employees with respect and honesty like family, you know, and being transparent. I think that's the key, is like, just be honest, you know, and if you're reaching out for help, just say it, you know. And I know some of the things that have come up is I need money. I need money. That's really all I need. And this is a big one because right now we're facing a crisis here in the States where funding is being cut from a lot of programs. But Bill's back. I'm going to pass it over to Bill. Bill, regarding where we left off, we were just getting into the meat and potatoes of our conversation. Do you recall where we left off? Or
I think so, but
you took over the conversation because Bill was emotional and you took over, correct?
I'm like, where did we leave off?
Yes. So I really have to do this disclaimer. So because I'm a difficult riser. Hey,
Yes.
got little guy. I drink lots of tea, and I have kidney problems. And so I did a lot of tea drinking, so I have a little bit of caffeine in me. So you guys might have to forgive me. I think I made a mistake. But one of the things that I want to piggyback on with both what Martha and Paulette said. So Paulette, you said people are like an onion, and they don't want to open up because they said, you know, you're not going to help me because other people said they're going to help me. And then Martha said, don't be afraid, don't close your heart. That was a message from Christy. The problem with that is what you said is how I felt, Paulette. What Christy said, don't be afraid. You know, I've opened up to people, and I'm not sure if Martha saw it or Paulette saw it, but there are people that have come for me on my own live that, you know, we didn't get along for some reason, but I trusted them too early. We weren't aligned. It didn't work out. I put it, you know, put it in the corner. But then they came back and they were like, I have receipts. I'm just like, why would you do this to me on my show? Why would you try to ruin my reputation? So that trust factor with me is extremely hard.
The Thai onion.
To, you know, I'm writing a section in Men, Money, and Mental Health with Nick, and that's coming out in September. And I went back through it, and I've been abandoned since basically the age of 12. So and then I've had 5 basically five setbacks, where I've grown and then I dropped and I've grown and I dropped. And it's one of those things that everyone says, when you have money or when you have prestige, everyone's your friend. But when you're in rock bottom, everyone's like, well, what are you doing for yourself? And I'm like, okay, if you understand my trajectory, it's never been to be someone that wants to ask for help. Martha had to force me to do a video for GoFundMe. And it helped a lot. It helped a lot. But if you watch the video, I look like I'm being held hostage because it's something that I didn't want to do. Like my normal conversation, like we're having right now, I go live every day. I'm not opposed to it. But me asking for assistance when I'm normally the person that gives it was not my comfort zone. And what Martha said to me, and I guess I had to hear it and trust her, was you don't have time to think about this. You don't have the time. So I've scheduled a live. We're going to go live at this time. I know you're uncomfortable, but just putting a GoFundMe link out there is not going to help you. And it's very weird to this day. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Part of me wants to go and remove that video.
Yeah.
But the other part of me is like, you know what? It got me over something.
Mm-hmm.
It got me over something.
And it's the fear of being judged. I think that's a big one. People looking at you like you don't got it together. I mean, I've seen the most educated people out on the streets, doctors, nurses living in their cars, some of them by choice. And I'm like, are we looking down on them? So
Yeah.
It's like that's where humanity comes in. I seen someone was driving a car that said humankind. It had a / human / kind. And I said, we forget that, and I didn't
often.
and I didn't hold them hostage, but I knew that it was something that was difficult. And I can tell by Bill, he was like swallowing, like, oh, Martha, he was there. He was so uncomfortable. And,
I kept saying, like, right before we went live, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I did it.
He did.
And I asked a friend, I said, did you see my video? And he said, the Iranian hostage video. And I was like, yeah, that one. And I guess it just came off like, like I was forced.
Did that friend make a donation?
A ton.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
He's allowed to say it. That's okay.
Yeah, several $1,000s.
The thing about the GoFundMe situation, we did it for a lass who found herself in a lot of trouble with 2 young kids. And Martha and I just couldn't sleep. We were like up all night. We were stressing ourselves out. We were like, she's got no food. I've got to transfer money. We've got to get money. We've got to get this. We've got to do this. I can't have this woman in this horrendous house in this terrible situation. And Martha's going, well, we can move her to a hostel, but we've got to move her, and how are we going to move her? And then next thing you know is I sent some money across. Martha is rushing in her blooming car with her son across to the worst area possible to deliver bread and milk and give this woman some money so that she can get through the next couple of days whilst action takes place, right? And that is where, for me, I think that I get emotional when I think about this. If we hadn't done that, Martha, those children would now be in foster care or care system somewhere, and God knows where she would have been, because she was not in the right mental state when we got involved to help herself. And now everybody is in a great place and everything is wonderful. And I look back on those times and I remember saying to you, "Don't you go there again." And then you're taking a photograph and a selfie, and I'm like, "I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill her. Get back in that car, pass the stuff out the window." Because the fear that you didn't have, I had for you, like a mother would have. And not that I didn't want her to get those things. Of course I did. But we had no way of getting them to her without you getting in your car and taking them. And the thing that is so hard for me, and I'll say it time and time over, is I find it so unbelievable that people are living so close to the edge. I hear this, I've never heard the term in the UK like I hear it in the US. You're only one paycheck away from being homeless. That's what I hear all the time. You're one paycheck away. And that should be what's on the back of everyone's car window. On the back of everyone's car window, they all should have that as the sticker, right? You're one step away from homelessness. Then maybe they'd understand homelessness. Because if you're only one paycheck away, then guess what? It could be you tomorrow. And that, if they had that as that sticker, they'd be reading it, they'd be seeing it, and maybe they would see life differently, and they would see the people on the streets differently. These people, yes, some of them are on drugs. Yes, some of them make choices. Yes, we know that. But the percentage is yay, right? The percentage of people that are really in trouble is the other 97%. The 3%, fine. I put my hands up. I know there's drug addicts. I know there are alcoholics. I know there are people that want to live on the streets. I understand. Their onion is so tight, we haven't got a hope in hell of peeling back one layer, right? But somebody like Bill, go on, you were going to say?
But we have to look at that differently, because drug addiction, in many cases, is a disease. Addiction is a disease.
Absolutely.
Just like mental health, just like obesity, just like heart problems and liver problems.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm a compulsive overeater. That's a horrible thing to be. And what that means, if no one knows what it means, is that you're full, but you're at an all-you-can-eat place. And so you're like, ooh, just a little bit more of this, and just one more of that, and just a little bit of that. And there's no more room, but you keep eating. Some people have addictive personalities. I've heard people that can take one drink or 10 drinks and party all weekend on a boat and get back home and they're fine. And other people, they take 2 drinks and they slip into a whole different version of themselves for a long time, and they need to go to centers. So there's homelessness and there's drug addiction and there's alcoholism, but all of it, if we look at a human going through a journey, and instead of judging that person, or instead of waiting for somebody else to step up and help that person, what can you do? And when we talk about the United States, that's a whole different level, Paulette. We can find money for wars, but we can't find money to feed people. We can find money for ballrooms and for reflecting pools and parades to honor this man, UFC stadiums, but we can't find money to prevent homelessness.
Well, the money is there. The money is just being mishandled.
The money, first, that I think there's 2 different questions, Martha, because if you ask me, the money has been, the American people are being stolen from in front of our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Contracts are being given to friends. Crypto coins are being given to family. This administration has made billions on the backs of driving us into a point where most of us can't find a job. If you have a job right now, everyone, I think that you should feel lucky, and you should be like, what can I do to help somebody else while I save some money? Because if they haven't come for you yet, and I get very upset with people, they're like, it's not my problem. It is your problem. It is your problem. And I'm going to do a plug. I wrote a book called The Boogeyman. And the other day on Fox News, Stephen Miller said, the boogeyman right now are pregnant women. And the reason why they're the boogeyman, he didn't say boogeyman, I think someone else used that as a label. But the reason why is because he doesn't want pregnant women to come into America. They want to block that. How are you going to block that? So a woman is overweight and you give her an ultrasound? Every woman has to pee in a cup? Like, what are you going to do? Because they're so afraid of anchor babies, which is a horrible term. Horrible. And if we don't stand up for everyone, I don't care if you're LGBTQ, I don't care if you're Black, Asian, a woman, and I don't care, as long as it's not about hate. And what hate lives off of is fear. It feeds off of fear. And so right now, what we're doing is we're making everybody someone to fear. So you're fearing a pregnant woman. That's the new person. First it was the immigrants, right?
Yeah.
What happened to Paulette? Did I make her mad?
No. She's maybe tech issues. No, you're fine. Okay. You're fine. But okay, so we're getting kind of off subject, Bill. But I know that you do have a book, and you know, Bill also, if I did put his information in the bio, if you'd like to connect with him and follow him, you know, he's been documenting his journey also. And
yes.
And you could see Bill, I mean, you can go back and watch the replays on his YouTube and see back in April and March to today. And I mean, it's completely a different person, you know, not in a lot of ways, because he's still that soul central person. But you definitely have, you know.
Did I upset you, Paulette? Is that why you jumped off?
Somebody phoned. I've got a problem with a particular young lady who's having some issues. I had them just before I came on, and I said, I'd be about an hour. I'll call you afterwards. And it was like, I'm looking at the clock and it's nearly an hour, so I'm going to call you back. It's like, give me time to eat and, you know, have a cup of coffee or whatever. But anyway, I said, give me an hour. I said, go away. I'll be back. I'm not going anywhere. But this is something it's really relevant to what you're talking about, right? When you're on your own, when somebody is on their own, whether they're on their own on the streets, whether they're on their own, like in care, whether you're on your own leaving the care system, if you're on your own and you have no support network, and even though you had friends, even though you had people that you used to call family, they're not there, they're gone. And then you're like this lost soul. I can't imagine as an adult, as a child, the abandonment was horrific. As a young teen, the abandonment was horrific. Trying to get into relationships was horrific because I didn't trust anybody. And I didn't trust foster care families. I didn't nobody was going to love me because I was the ugliest thing ever. Da, 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 da. And if you asked me out, you was taking the pee. You was playing some sort of evil game because, you know, it was fun to ask the ugly girl out. Is that what the game was? And they're like, sorry, I only want to ask you to dance. And they bugger off, you know, like scared witless because you frighten the life out of them, you know, because you turn on them. And I remember someone saying to me once, I need you to look in the mirror. I didn't want to look. I was scared. That mirror was the most, I never wore makeup. I never looked in the mirror. I washed my teeth underneath the mirror. I would leave. I'd brush my hair. I would not look in the mirror. I would not look at a window as you walk past. Now I spend half my life looking at myself on a camera. And it's just unbelievable how when you peel back that onion and you find the you inside there, you go, I can help all those other yous that are inside there. Because whether, as you say, it's addiction or whether it's just downright fear, whether it's loneliness, whether it's you were once a really important member of a troop and you were part of a veteran and you were this and you were that, and then you were nothing. You were nothing. And like, what happened? Well, my wife didn't want me. My kids didn't want me. I came home and I'm on the streets. And you're like, you were a captain. You were like a demigod. And now I'm on the streets, right? And they're like, how did that happen to a demigod, right? And this is what Martha is finding on the daily, not once in the blue moon. This is on the daily. And I would love to do a show about veterans. I would love to get some veterans who really, and Bill, if you want to take this, you take it, you run with it, because the amount of veterans that I have met in America who know so many people who are on the streets and they're checking up on their troops, they're phoning them up, they're checking to make sure they're okay. And then one by one they hear they lost that one, they lost this one. And it is awful. And to know that these people fought for your country and you have the cheek to say thank you for your service and you put on a freaking great parade rather than feed them or house them, I'm sorry, get your priorities right, guys. And I'm not political, but I would blow the bloody White House up and start all over again because something has gone intrinsically wrong.
She didn't mean that, people.
She did. No, she did.
She meant it
Come and
figuratively.
get me. Come and get me. I'll give you my
figuratively.
Paulette, no, we don't mean that.
They're listening. They're listening.
Yeah, she meant it figuratively.
When I say blow that place up, I mean metaphorically, obviously. Right. The point is, if they are listening, I'd be over the moon. Because if we've got to the White House, whoop, whoop. Well done, ConnectImpact Hub. We're now making a difference at the White House. But you know, that's the truth of it, right?
It is. And also the family. I had a case not long ago. It was a mom and son. Dad was dealing with PTSD, but it was getting worse. And there was a separation that occurred, and Dad couldn't cope with what he's seen overseas, and it was affecting the family. So now they got trauma. And it's like, man, it's not just the veterans, but it's also the family who's affected by this. So yeah, we'll definitely have an episode on our veterans. We'll get a couple, invite them to come and join us. And if you're listening and you'd like to be part of that, let us know, reach out, connect with us.
I have a couple of cousins that were in Vietnam, but they're doing well themselves. So I don't know. I'll ask them if they want to join, but I don't know how much
Bill,
they're into the veterans.
Ask them about the rest of their troop. Ask them about the rest of the troop, because when I speak to Big Dog, when I speak to Big Dog, my friend Big Dog, I only know him as Big Dog, but when I speak to Big Dog, he will tell you that the number of his troops that have died subsequent to war, so they've all come home from war and then have died subsequently because of PTSD and not getting the help they needed and ending up on the streets and then getting into alcohol or drugs or whatever they get into to just kind of help with the pain. This is massive. This is a whole message in itself, that we've got veterans who fought for your country, guys, who are starving, who have no homes, who have no life, and you say thank you for your service? Do not it blows my mind to think that we have such disparity from reality, you know.
Thank you for your service, and we're not going to feed you. Thank you for your service, and we're not going to give you health care. Thank you for your service, but we're not going to provide a home for you. Yeah, that's what we say.
Also, there is the VA, right? And then the VA, they have different areas of care. Now, I think I've shared this with you before, Paulette. I don't know if I've shared this with you, Bill, but there was another case, a veteran who was facing an eviction. And we got in contact with the social worker at the VA, and they located one resource. And it kind of took me back in time when we got together, Bill, and where only one resource was located by that person that you're believing they have the best interest in helping you. One resource was located. And yet this veteran who's disabled, facing eviction, is dealing with mental health issues because of the stress level of being evicted. She was making phone calls to all these organizations and no one was returning her call back. And the social worker said, just keep trying. And I'm like, this is a veteran social worker. Why aren't we doing more? So when I reached out to this veteran social worker, I asked, are you going to be helping more? Because we're going to need to have a plan for long term. And the response was, no, this person doesn't qualify for long-term support with housing. How do you know that? That was my question. And she didn't reply back, because that's where we're failing. And I've called out many people, and Bill has been present when I've done that, because I'm like, if you're in a position as a case manager, as an advocate, as a social worker to help people, then help people. I'm voluntarily doing this. Okay, this is a choice. I'm not making a paycheck. I'm doing this because I genuinely love to do it.
I'm not even in your bloody country. Excuse the French.
Yeah. Hello, Chasen. Welcome, brother. Great to see you. And Chasen has a wonderful nonprofit too. For friends that don't know, connect with him also.
Not only does he have a wonderful nonprofit, he's a wonderful person. He always checks in on me.
He is. He really, really is. And you know what? He is definitely, I interviewed him for one of my classes and I got an A. Woohoo, Chasen. Authentic leadership, Chasen is it. Okay? Just period. Okay? So thank you, brother. Great to see you. I know I'm getting off track here. But yeah, I just wanted to share my experience with vets and how we're not providing them enough support. Christy said, people lie instead of help. Yeah. I think that if you, Chasen said, we need leaders and organizations to stop gatekeeping. Absolutely.
That's kind of what Martha found for me, Chasen. They were sitting on $8,000.
Let's talk about that. Is that okay? Because that was, oh man.
Yeah, they were sitting on $8,000, Paulette. And we got in contact with, well, Martha did.
Well, this is where Paulette jumps in, because I did a Paulette move, okay?
Okay. So we got in contact with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she's a big congresswoman. And her office contacted the people down here, and they said, which we don't really know the truth, right? we don't know why we've been sending this checks. These checks have been sitting here for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they were released the next day.
Yeah.
But when we were talking directly to the people that I was talking to,
Mm-hmm.
they said I needed to come up with like $50 or some stupid amount. And they were like, no, you didn't need to do that. And the problem was I had no money.
Yeah.
And people don't get that. When you say I don't have any money, it means if you were to give me $20 right now, I would run to the grocery store real quick because I don't qualify for food, I don't qualify for electricity, I don't qualify for anything, and I got to fight for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we're able to go to war. It just, I'm sorry, we're spending $1 billion a day on something that doesn't make any sense. So she got that taken care of, and then once the money got to Rocket Mortgage, they lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And said, oh, well, now you need to come up with another $12,000 because you're in foreclosure. And we did an entire show about Rocket Mortgage. And, you know, I hate to say this, my show gets a pretty good audience. So that one show got 4,000 or 5,000 people looking at it. And Rocket Mortgage was tagged all over it. My phone from Rocket Mortgage was ringing off the hook. And Martha sent me to, where did you send me to?
It was a HUD counselor.
Hub counselor.
And we also called lawyers.
Yeah. We need to, hold on for a second. Sidebar.
We did.
Sidebar. We need to get back on that. And not just for me, but for everybody, because that was the intent. And I was angry in the moment. And the problem is I'm in such a good space right now that the anger's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But no one should have to go through what I went through.
Yep.
The funds are there. I was suicidal. I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, I wrote a 10-day everyday journal about how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, my brother called me right when I was like, I'm going to take all these pills. And then the next day, someone knocked at my door and said, hey, let's go for lunch. I'm like, out of nowhere. And then Martha called me. And then we started getting good news because I didn't see a way out.
Mm-hmm.
I saw no way out. And I'm going to speed this up because I know you guys want to go. But after Martha got that taken care of, my housing situation, I was able to finalize my book. I was able to create and rebrand my website. I was able to, my book is actually a series. It's 3 books, but I have been working on it, and then I stopped because you can't think when you're trying to survive. You can't even look for a job when you have to call your mortgage company. You have to call your car company. You have to call the electric company. You have to call for food. Oh, you're spending your whole fucking day trying to figure out, how am I going to get to midnight?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I started Williams Wind Down. And that was something that I learned, that everything is going to be okay. But we have to release and trust, but still act. Hold on for a second. And I know you want to go.
No, you're fine. I'm okay. Paulette, are you okay?
That,
a little over.
The thing that I want to say about Paulette and the veterans and everything else is that all throughout this process, I kept reminding myself who I am. This is a moment, but I am a leader of men meaning men and women. I am someone who builds thriving businesses. I am someone that during my layoff or time off, I didn't get laid off, but during my time off, have created a YouTube channel where it gets 40,000 people come see it a month. I am someone that when I speak, people listen. I am someone that just wrote a book and published, and it went to #1 on Amazon and was in the top 100. Now I need to get it back there, but I haven't been doing any book tours or anything. So that's just me dropping something, just putting it out there. So there are all these reasons to stay in the game. And life is going to throw every reason why you shouldn't at you. Everyone says, you know, when you talk about suicide and hurting yourself, call 988. And I believe that you should, or wherever you're at, whatever that number is. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this. I think more people have those thoughts than admit it. And what I want you to hear is that don't rely on your own ability. The universe, God, whoever you believe in. And if you don't believe in anyone, then just believe in the stars. You're depending on yourself to fix something that the universe can change in a day. Martha's help, me opening up, I don't know why God sent her my way. But between April to today, there are 3 books right now. Not all 3 are released. There's a new website. I'm selling myself. I'm not really selling myself, but I'm selling my skills, right? I'm still looking at traditional, but I'm like, if the traditional hasn't been working, then go the non-traditional route. But remember that there's hope. And remember that the resources don't always come from the places we expect. Because most of us are like, why hasn't my mom called me? Or why aren't my brothers showing up? You know? And they're like, tough love, man, tough love. You need to figure this out. All right. Well, to hell with you, because you guys almost lost me, literally, with your tough love bullshit. My kids, as a parent, and because they live on the other coast, I don't burden them with what I'm going through. They have no idea. You know, they don't. I'm not going to go out and say, while they're trying to figure out their own lives. My daughter has a 3-year-old and is going through a life change, a divorce, right? So why am I going to say I can't feed myself? She's struggling on her own, you know, trying to figure out who she is at 35 years old. So understand that your resource, your blessing, while you're looking towards the right, may come towards the left. And I'm going to give you one biblical quote, which is, and I'm not someone that believes in traditional religion, but it just makes sense. Cast your net on the other side. You know, you're looking over here and saying, why is it so barren? Look to the left. It's been there the entire time.
I'm going to say something, Bill, because it's really kind of prevalent and important to me that I do, and I'm always truthful. Dealing with an 11-year-old, 12-year-old who'd been bullied so badly that he thought there was no point in staying. And he had a favorite tree, and we went and saw that tree. And that was the tree where he told me I'd find him. And I said, how could you do that to this beautiful tree? Look at it, it's a beautiful tree. Every tree, it's got all these branches, and all these branches have got all this life on them. And you would be forever marking this tree as the tree that this is where that happened. Would you do that to that tree? He said, this is where I hide. This is why I come and hide. This is when they're bullying me, I run and I hide here. I said, then we should be thanking this tree, shouldn't we? Not naming this tree, but thanking this tree. I don't know where these words came from. I don't know who this person was who possessed me, because this is not me. I'm the archetypal Prada woman, you know. I'm running a business. I'm tough cookie, you know. Here I am coming out with all this stuff that I don't even know where it's coming from. And we were hugging this tree with our arms around the tree and thanking this tree for caring and looking after him. And looking up at all the branches and saying, every one of those branches has got life. Every one of those branches has got hope. Every one of those branches wants to help. And we walked away and we got in the car, and the next day we were at a psychotherapist. I was told he was 70% likely to do it. I sat there with a shock look on my face, pain, crying, taken into a side room. He was with the people. You do not know how you're going to handle that situation until you're in it. He was my world. My world was crashing down around me. And I will tell you this. What I learned from that moment was there is something within us. There is a power from somewhere. And I don't know where that power comes from, whether it's the universe, God, Mother Nature, whoever. Whatever you believe, you believe. But those words weren't my words. I don't speak about hugging trees. I never hugged a frigging tree in my life. And here I am hugging a tree and thanking this tree for protecting my child. And I remember now thinking to myself, if I get to keep him, I'm going to do everything in my power to be that person for as many kids as need me. Right? And I think that what you just said is that you need to look at that person now as Bill and say, how can I use my platform to help as many people as I can to make a difference? And I've been doing that for the last 12 years since it happened. He's just got a master's in biomedical science, neuropharmacology.
So he's okay.
He's autistic. He struggles, but he's fine.
Girl,
He's
lead
got
with
masters,
that.
right?
Lead
He
with
just
that.
got a first in a master's degree in microbiology, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about up here, smarts, the common sense stuff, the autistic stuff. Okay, we've got some work to do. We'll get there. But the point I'm making is this: you never know what anyone is going through if they don't tell you. My child couldn't tell me. Martha couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell people. People can't speak about it because the stigma is so huge, or they think the stigma is so huge. And if we do nothing else but on this program today, we say, to heck with the stigma, right?
Yeah,
Take that
absolutely.
stigma and that ego and kick it out the park, right? Because the only way you're going to get help, the only way you're going to be able to move forward is if you are prepared to speak up and explain that I have a problem, I need help. Whatever it is, whether you're 11, whether you're 65, I don't give a monkey. I don't care if you're 75, I don't care if you're whatever you are, anywhere in between. You have to have the ability to say, I need help. And as soon as you do that, as you say, that net that you cast to one side suddenly shows some support. We were in psychotherapy. I know I paid. I phoned 50 people, and I didn't care what I paid, but that I got a job. I got a vacancy, and I was in. And he was sitting in front of somebody. If you didn't have the money, you couldn't have done that. Listen, I never ever would say that other people can't get the help because I haven't got the money. In that moment, I'm afraid money was not the issue. Life was the issue. Okay.
Yep.
But don't get me wrong. If I found out there was a parent in that same boat and they didn't have the money, we'd find the money. That's what ConnectImpact Hub does, right? We find the money from somewhere. We magic it because we can't allow people not to have that hope. And I don't know whether or not we call it hope. I don't know whether we call it getting rid of the stigma. I don't know what you call it, but whatever you want to call it, that's the message. The message is you have to say, I need help. As soon as that happens, Martha jumps into action. Paulette jumps into action. Bill jumps into action.
Mm-hmm.
Chasen jumps into action. Jackie jumps. Christy. This is what we do, right? We jump into action. Somebody needs us, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the Avengers assemble, okay? And we have to be those Avengers until the governments and until the people with the money, until the people who have the facilities to make these bigger changes, make the changes. On the smaller level, we have to be the Avengers until the big Avengers can come and fix us. But right now, we have to put on our Superman outfits and we have to be those people, because otherwise we're going to lose friends, relatives, bills of this world, my son of this world, right? You cannot allow people to get to that stage where they're writing a 10-day letter, where they're writing a letter to me. This is the tree you'll find me at. If you'd seen me in that schoolroom when I took the board down, I think 3 of them peed their pants. I was like, I swear to you, I was possessed. I just said, I'm going to take the school down. It's going to be in every newspaper. I'm going to put it on every news channel. You have no idea what I'm going to do to you as a duty of care. We have a no bullying policy. And I was like, you put a fucking poster up. I was
right.
There were hands banging on the desk. That was all going off. But you know something? Things changed. And if you have to change it by screaming and shouting and effing and blinding, and please, folks, I apologize. You may blank that out. I will tell you now, you fight for what you care about and what you love. But I wasn't fighting for my child. My child was now okay. I was fighting for all the other kids who weren't able to speak up about the bullying and what was going on and the thievery and the horrendous photographs and stuff. All of it. I was fighting for every child who couldn't speak up. And autism is a horrible thing to have to deal with at times, but the honesty part of autism saved his life because he was able to speak up at 11, come up 12. There's a lot to be said for when you are there for other people. And this is what we're talking about today, is being there, getting rid of the stigma, using your platform to do whatever and however you can to make that difference. Because the passion inside you says you can't not.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bill, before I jump in.
I was just going to say, Mark, what Martha gave me, because you said you didn't know the name of it, and then this is just for me, was hope. Because I had lost hope. And I just was like giving up, like, okay, everyone's abandoned me. People think that my immediate circle thinks I'm not trying hard enough. So I lost hope. And Martha gave me my hope back. And that hope allowed me to get back to remembering who I am.
Oh, Bill, you know, I got to witness a lot of not good things when I was serving Bill. I like to say service to humanity, you know? And I could tell by his face that he was giving up. And I don't know if I've shared this before. I think I've shared it with Paulette, but I had a family member who was homeless, and he believed his family, it was my family, was going to help him if he stood at this abandoned gas station with his sign. He had moved to a new state because the family said they were going to help him, and then they ended up dishing him out on the streets. And so he posted himself at this abandoned gas station. And he would stay there for months in the cold, and people in the community knew him. They all said he was a nice person. And then one day, they found him dead. Until this day, the family doesn't want to own up to what happened. They don't want to say, oh, yeah, it was my fault. Nobody wants to take accountability. But what we know from what I've heard from word of mouth is that he accepted Christ and that he was ready for change. And when he was up there with his sign, he was hoping and wishing that the family would just stop the car and help him. And so this is why I show up for strangers that have become family to me, because it was my uncle then. I have another family out on the streets now, and I have friends on the streets now. And it's never easy to look at them and then you say, here's help. And they tell you, I don't need your help. But you have to keep going. You have to keep showing up and just leave that door open. And when they're ready for change, they'll come. So thank you, Christy. Bill, she said thank you for this. And all the hearts she's been sending throughout the live. It's just, Christy is just such a warm, spirited, loving woman. And we're so blessed to have her in our lives, just like Jackie and Chasen. And like Paulette, I love the way you put the Avengers. We really, all of us can make a huge difference in someone's life, just starting with one person, and then that is going to sprinkle everywhere. And Bill's doing just that. Thank you, Bill, so much for spreading the love. Thank you. So I'll pass it over to you, Bill, then Paulette for any last words, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks.
For me, I want to thank Martha for inviting me. And Martha, I love you. I'm going to talk to Paulette for a second. Paulette, your story and the way that you show up, and the more that I get to listen to you, it fills my heart with love and appreciation. And I want to thank you for you being who you are, not for me, but for everybody out there. Everybody out there. And that's a special place to be. It was a pleasure meeting you on a one-on-one, a live one-on-one situation. And let's connect more often.
Definitely. I mean, I for me, to finish up, it's hope is the message today, that there is always hope. And even though you might not think it's there, and even though you might reject it, there's a little itch of hope. And you open that little chink of armor and you let that little hope out. And as that hope comes out, we'll be there to pick you up. And that's all we can ever say, is just let that little bit of light in and we'll be there to pick you up.
Thank you, Paulette. Thank you, Bill. And I see a couple of our other friends have showed up. Omar and Lisa, thank you so much for being here. Thank you both for saying yes, for sharing. and for spreading love. And let's continue to spread people helping people. And check us out in 2 weeks. We'll have another fantastic episode ahead. And if you're a veteran listening to this and you want to be part of our next conversation, reach out to me or Paulette, or even Bill, if that's okay with you, Bill. And then Bill will send you my way. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Hey, Joe. Great to see you, brother.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Omar, Lisa, Christy. All right, bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.